Hi everybody, I'm Ginell Cooper, and today we are going to make this really cute Valentine basket. Hopefully it's going to be cute. Honestly, all I know about it right now is this little sketch that I've made. So the plan, or actually what sparked this idea, was Samantha on my Facebook group turned us all onto hidden sales at Walmart that I did not even know existed. And so because of that, I ended up with a lot of jumbo Super Saver red heart yarn in red and white and cream and also camo. Thank you, Samantha. And they were only 64 cents and it's huge. I was like, what am I gonna do with all this red and white yarn? I don't have enough room in my closet for it. It can't sit out here in the living room. So let's make something fun. And Valentine's Day is less than a month away. So I thought this would be a fun project for us. So here's my plan. What I'm gonna do, I have put this into balls and also the white. We're gonna start the base with just red, but then when we move up, we're gonna put in a bunch of different color scraps in here, and then I'm gonna incorporate the heart stitch in there, which I just taught on Saturday for Saturday Stitches. So if you wanna learn the heart stitch first, I'm gonna put a link at the top right corner to that video so you can check that out. I may end up modifying a little bit because I think most of this is just gonna be single crochet right here, and then we might just do double. I'm not sure yet until I get there. We'll see what happens. My thought in my mind is that this is gonna be scrappy, all different colors mixed together, because we're gonna be working with about four strands at a time to make it nice and tight and thick. And then we will maybe switch to a solid color with the hearts, or I might incorporate the hearts with the scrappiness. So those will be white hearts. And then when we get up here, there's gonna be a band in the middle of white with the red hearts. And then we'll go back to the scrappiness with the white hearts in the middle. And then I think I'm just gonna do a crab stitch on top, and I'll probably do it actually in red to match the base. But just like everything that I'm winging, it kind of ends up taking on a personality of its own, and I end up sort of just following what feels good when we do it. So the end basket may not look anything like this, but this was the original concept. So this is what we're gonna start with. So here is just all the little bunches of scraps that I've put together in just reds and pinks and colors that kind of work together. And obviously that is way too much yarn because I'm just making a basket big enough to go around that plant right there. So it's not going to take that much yarn, but I just wanted a lot of different combinations that we could put together that go well with the red and the white. This is how many balls of yarn. These are pretty big balls too, so this is in my hand. How many balls of yarn I got out of one skein of that Super Saver jumbo yarn that was on sale at Walmart for 64 cents. And this is how many I have left. And that's just the white and the red. That doesn't even include the cream color and the camo that I got. I may have purchased too many, but 64 cents a piece, like how can you stop, right? So I just want to show you, I've got my 4 red balls in a tub so that as we're working, they're going to roll in here and they're not going to end up going all over your floor and making a mess, right? So I just get these little tubs at Dollar Tree. I use them all the time. So, and they come in all different sizes and colors. Doesn't matter as long as it holds your yarn, right? So those are perfect for that. We're going to start off with 4 strands. And we're going to start with a magic circle. So the way this works is you are going to just act like you're going to make a slip knot, but you're not going to make a slip knot. You're going to grab those 4 strands right there, pull them up, and then you're going to make a slip stitch right there, or you're going to chain 1 basically just to hold it in place so it doesn't move around on you. And then you're gonna do 6 single crochets around the outside just to get it started. So this is gonna be interesting when you're working with 4 strands of yarn. And this yarn is not exactly thin. This is thick yarn. So we're gonna do 6 single crochets. Ah, yes, I remember. If you haven't seen my earlier basket video, I did 3 different baskets. I did the scrappy basket was the second one I did. I also did a jute twine basket, and then I also did a owl basket, which they all turned out super cute. But by the time I was done with that, making that video, my hands were so, like, I had definitely built up some muscles in my forearms and my hands. And you probably will done doing this too, but this is going to be a much shorter project. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's do one more. Okay, time for the magic to happen. We're just going to grab these guys here that you were going over the top of, and you're just going to pull those so it's nice and tight, just like that. And then you're going to go to the top of this stitch right here, the first single crochet, and you are going to slip stitch it together. Okay, so on the basket video I did before, the base of the basket for the scrappy basket, I was actually going around and joining at the end of each row just because I wanted you to be able to keep track of where your increases were. We're gonna level up, and we're gonna do a slightly different one this time. This time we are going to not join, we're just gonna continue around in a spiral. But in order to keep track of our increases, because we're gonna have to increase in order to make the circle bigger, we're gonna stitch mark that. And if you know my videos at all, you know that I am not fancy. So I stitch mark with just a safety pin. There are lots of fancy stitch markers out there. I just use safety pins. Okay, so this first one, what we're gonna do is we're going to increase the first row after you do your initial row. You're gonna increase on every single stitch. And what I mean is we're gonna do 2 single crochets in the same hole, which is gonna seem impossible, but it will work. Okay, so basically what you're doing is the law of circles when it comes to crochet is whatever you started off with, like for when you're working with single crochets, you're almost always going to start with 6. When you're working with double crochets, you'll start with 12 in the middle. Or I think, yeah, and half double is like 9, I think. But whatever you started off with, you're going to work out in multiples of that number. So the first row is 6, the second row will be 12, the third row will be 18. And so forth. And what you're gonna do to do that is you're gonna increase on, the first row is gonna be increase on every single stitch, right? That'll double it. The second row, you're going to increase on the first stitch and then do single crochet. Increase, single crochet, increase, single crochet all the way around. That'll add 6 stitches, not 12, right? Because if you did it every one, you would be doubling it. You don't wanna do that or it'll ruffle all over the place. Then the next row, you're gonna do increase and then 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, and then increase. One single crochet, 1 single crochet, and then increase all the way around. And then that will jump you from 18 to, somebody do the math for me, 24? So just keep doing that until we get to however wide you want yours to be. Mine is going to be 6 inches wide on the base because I'm doing it on a small planter, but you can make it as small or as big as you like. So we'll continue with this row and then I'll get you started on the next row, but we're just gonna go in a spiral all the way around. So we did 2 stitches in that stitch. Now we're gonna do 2 stitches in this one. Okay, keep doing that till you get to here, and I'll meet you there. Okay, we have 2 in each stitch, and we have 12 stitches around. I always have to double check because I always think that this one is getting skipped, but it's not. It's actually already been worked in this way, I guess, and over here, I don't know. I think I have an extra one from that first row. So when that happens, just make sure you have 12 around. In the past, what we've done is we've joined it, and then we've chained up one and then we've gone around, but what that does is it creates a seam. We don't want a seam, so we're just gonna go around in circles. So now we're starting the next row and we're just gonna go straight into this stitch, no joining or anything, and you're just gonna go ahead and do your increase right here. So increase, but because we're on the 3rd row now, we're gonna increase and then we're just gonna do a regular single crochet in the next row or the next stitch. But make sure you go back and mark where that increase started, which was actually back here, so that you know where to start your next increase on the next row. So that was your increase, single, oops. Increase, and then single, and then increase. And just keep doing that until you get all the way around, and that should put you at 18 stitches. So it was 6, 12, 18. And you can, if you need to go back, like if you had to set it down, you can kind of go back and see there's 2 stitches, 1, 2 stitches, 1. Okay, if I did that right, that should be 18 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, yay! It's always good when that works out. Okay, so we've reached the end of that row. So now you just want to continue. You're going to do your increase here. Go back and mark the beginning of that row, which is this stitch right here. And then this time you're going to do, you did an increase, but this time you're going to do 2 singles. So this is 2 stitches in 1. This is going to be 1 stitch, and then 2. 1 stitch, 1 stitch, and then 2. You're only gaining 6 stitches every row. And look at how thick that is. Like that's where you want it to be. When you're making baskets, if you've ever tried to make a basket and it's flimsy and it doesn't stand up by itself, it's because you aren't using either a small enough hook or you're using not enough yarn. So if you have 4 strands of worsted weight yarn and you're working with a 8mm hook, it's gonna feel so tight, but the good news is that's going to stand up by itself. So you don't have to worry about it being a floppy basket, which plagued my existence for every time I ever tried to make a basket. It seemed like it always turned out to be a floppy basket. I feel like okay, increase, single, single, increase. Okay, so 2 singles. I will meet you at the end of this row. Okay, so I just finished my 4th row, and 4 times 6 is 24, and that is how many stitches I have around. I just measured it, and it is about 4 inches. So you're getting about 1 inch per row, slightly more than that. So probably 2 more inches is where we're going, or 2 more rows is where we're going to stop, and that'll put us right where we want to be. Right now, we just finished. We just did the increase and then 1, 1. Now on this next row, you're going to increase and go 1, 2, 3, and then increase 1, 2, 3. And then the next row, you're going to go increase 1, 2, 3, 4, increase 1, 2, 3, 4, and that spaces out your increases so that it's nice and round. So continue doing that and meet me at the end of the 6th row, and we will remeasure and see where we're at. Okay guys, here we are. So this is right about 6 inches. It's actually a little bit less, but I had the same issue when I did my last basket and I did an extra row and my basket ended up being huge. So we're gonna stick with this instead of going too far, and just take a look at my little plant here. Just make sure that the base, it fits the base, which it does. So we're gonna go ahead and start climbing up the walls now. So at this point, you don't have to do any more increasing. We're just gonna go all the way around, but we're gonna change the way that we do this because this is the pretty side, and this is pretty too, but it's just not the look that I want on the outside. I want the single crochets to be on the outside of the basket. So we're gonna put this on the bottom, and we're gonna start working up this way, and it's gonna go in a spiral up this way. So now all you have to do is go in a spiral in single crochets until you get to the point where you want to change yarn. So because I'm planning on doing kind of a crab stitch at the top in this red, I kind of want the red and the red to match. So I'm gonna do a row, possibly 2 of just the solid red before I start bringing in the other colors, just so that it matches the top row. So I'm gonna do that. Just go single crochet all the way around. Keep stitch marking though, so you know what row you're on. And I will meet you at the end of maybe 2 rows. Okay, so I only did 1 row and it's already starting to go up the sides. The minute you stop decreasing or stop increasing, it'll start to go straight up. With the last scrappy basket I did, that was not necessarily the case. It took a couple of rows for it to start going up. I think it's just because it was a really wide circle. But this yarn is thicker than the yarn I was using before. So what I'm gonna do now is because I don't want the spiral to be, I'm gonna change colors. But I'm gonna leave 1 strand of red, and I'm gonna bring some other colors in here too, of my scrap colors. and that'll make it kind of continuous. But before I do that, so it doesn't look quite so obvious that I went from a spiral into a new color, is I'm gonna go ahead and just slip stitch a couple times. And that kind of brings it so that it's kind of the same level as the rest of the basket, right? So now it's more flat, doesn't look like it's a spiral that went up. Now what I'm gonna do is, oops, gotta be careful too that you go underneath all of those strands, otherwise you end up having kind of a weird look right there. And actually what I'm gonna do is right here, I'm gonna take out 3 of these red guys and I'm gonna leave 1 there. So I'm gonna leave a tail and we're gonna weave that in as we go. When it comes to making clothing or kitchen towels or any of that stuff, I usually, when I weave my ends in, I usually weave them in this way and then I work it back this way so that it doesn't come undone. But baskets don't get a lot of movement, so I'm not worried about that. I'm just gonna go over the top of it until it just disappears. So I have 1 strand of red still out. We're gonna leave that little guy in there. So what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna put these little guys here and we're gonna just pull this whole loop through as apparently as awkwardly as possible. There we go. Right up into there, like that. So, we actually have a lot of strands to work over the top of right now. Why is that so? There we go. Okay, so you should still have 4 strands there. One of them is thicker, like a 5, and then 2 3s, and then a 4, like a 4 and a 3. So it should work out to be fine. And we're gonna go over the top of all these little extra guys and work our way around. So just continue your single crochet for a few more rows, and that'll work that scrappiness in there, and then we'll start to bring in our hearts. So So I've come across this knot. I hate these things. Obviously you can't have one continuous strand all the time, right? But I don't do knots. So what I usually do, and I don't even do magic knots, I literally just cut it out completely. Normally I would say this would be a fun time to just change your yarn, but since we just started it, I think I'm gonna wait until I'm at least a row in before I change my yarn to something else. So we're gonna cut that knot out and we're gonna pull this in just like it was a new strand. And let this guy be our little tail there. So we will pull a new again, apparently as awkwardly as possible. And then pull that like nothing happened. It's magic. I don't like knots. They are kind of, I don't know, I think they take away from the project and the feeling of it, you know, when you come across a knot and stuff. And I don't know, it took me a long time to get there though, to that point. So, because I have a lot of my early stuff has a lot of knots and stuff in it. I just don't like them anymore. Okay guys, so here's what I have decided. Sometimes you have to get in here and actually do it to know exactly how it's, like I said before, it kind of takes on a personality of its own. So we're coming in on the end of this second row of the scrappy part. And what is happening is it's traveling very quickly, which means this is already 2 inches high. And the whole thing's only gonna be 6 inches tall. So I think I'm only gonna have room to do 2 rows of hearts before I get to the top. So I'm taking out a row, and so what I'm gonna do instead then is I'm gonna start right here and I'm gonna put the hearts in at this, like the 3, between the 2 inch and 3 inch mark. And then I think in between we'll do more scrappy, then we'll do white, and then we'll do more scrappy, and then we'll end with red at the top. So right now that's the plan. So because we kind of, again, we don't want that spiral to be super obvious, especially when we do our hearts, we definitely don't want to, because we want them to hook up with each other. I'm gonna end this right here, with 2 slip stitches coming up to this row. And then that kind of makes it look like it's a little bit more connected right there. Oops, there we go. So I mean, you can tell there's a little bit of a jog there, but it's not super, like it doesn't jump out at you. So now we're gonna switch and we're gonna do our white hearts. I just wanna make sure that this is gonna be wide enough to go all the way across the top of that. Oh yeah. The only way to find out is to try. Okay, so we're gonna do 4 strands of just pure white. There. So this is like the last slip stitch to even it out. I lost all these. I know, I'm crazy. I know that's what you guys are thinking. Okay, there we go. Now, chain up 2. This is gonna be, we're just gonna do half of a heart right here. And then when we come back around, we're gonna connect, we're gonna come in here and do the other half of the heart and we're gonna connect them together. Oh, she says, thinking that she can do it. Okay. And then back into the same hole. We're gonna do, don't pull it up too tight. We're gonna do, go yarn over and go through 2, what would normally be 2 strands, right? So you have 2 left on the hook, which is actually 8, but we won't count that. And then we're gonna yarn over, go into the same hole, pull up a strand, yarn over, and go through what would be 2 if you were only working with 1 piece of yarn. And now you have 3 sections on the hook. And I want you to yarn over and go through all of it. Now you have half of a heart. And when we come back around, we're gonna have the other half right here and we're gonna connect them together. So we're gonna chain 2. And then we're gonna skip 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then go into this one right here. So like you're doing a double crochet, pull up 1 loop, yarn over, go through 2. Leave those 2 on there. Same thing, same hole. Yarn over, go through 2, now you have 3. And we're gonna do 1 more because we want sections of 3. Yarn over, go through 2, and now you have 4, so you're gonna yarn over and go through all of that, just like that. And now you have 1/2 of a heart over here, 1/2 of a heart over here, and now we're gonna make this a whole heart. So you're gonna do chain 2, and you're going to do the exact same thing you did right here, this little cluster. You're gonna do the same thing over here. You're gonna go through that same hole, but because of this chain 2, it's gonna space it out. Okay, and then go through all of that. These hearts are gonna be much bigger than they were in my drawing, but I think they're gonna be cute. Okay, so continue doing that all the way around. Hopefully, if our math is correct, even if it's not correct, we should be able to fudge it enough to make it work right here at the end. So we're gonna chain 2 and then continue doing that all the way around until we get to this part right here. And so you're gonna skip 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then put it in the 6th one here. And I will meet you at the end of this row. Okay, so I've gone all the way around, my cute little hearts, all the way around the basket. And the math did actually work out, so I'm excited about that. So we'll see how this is going to come together. I'm hoping to just carry this straight up and continue on with it. So we'll see if that works. So we're gonna skip 5. This is the other half of this heart that we're gonna continue this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. perfection. There's the 6th right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and I've already chained one. I'm gonna chain one more. And we're gonna go ahead and go into that same hole that those are in, and it's also gonna kind of cover this part up a little bit that's kind of messy. One. Oops, try and keep these guys out of it. Two. Three. And then we're going to pull all of this together. It does look like it feels like it's getting tighter because it's kind of, but I think it's going to work. So then we're going to chain one here and then chain one here. And then I think right here we should join it. There's going to be a crisscross that goes in there. Do I like it? I don't think I like it. I want it to be kind of clean in there. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to cut this. We're going to work those in down there below, and we're just going to pick this back up on top. So these ends all have to be worked in, which I will do. We're going to put these together first. And since I'm starting with a whole new color, I'm going to let those just sit there. Okay guys, so here's what I did. I took a minute to weave in all my ends, and the reason I did that was because I needed to think out what I was doing. And sometimes I consider weaving in your ends as the equivalent of being in the shower, because I don't know if you've done this, but I always get my best ideas in the shower. So this is what I came up with as I was weaving in my ends. I wanted to start fresh, so everything's nice and clean now, and I'm starting with a whole new set. They're basically the same colors that I was using down here. We're gonna go right in the middle of this heart right here, and we're gonna start with a single crochet. Doing hearts in the round is obviously different than doing them in a straight line like we did before. So I'm gonna go ahead and chain up one, and we're gonna do a single crochet in this same hole right here. And we're just gonna go over the top of all of this mess right there. So single crochet, just like that. Okay. Now, make sure that's nice and tidy. Okay, so now, just like we did before for our hearts, because we're starting off kind of fresh, you're gonna chain two to go down the side of your heart. And then you're gonna come down here, you're gonna skip the first stitch, and you're gonna do the middle 3 right here. And then there's another stitch over there because there's 5 altogether. So skip this stitch and do 1, 2, 3 half double crochets. And when you do them, you want to go over the top of all of this plus this bar all the way down there. Okay, so jump down, do your half double crochet, and you don't want to pull it up. So my inclination is to pull it up high. You don't want to do that. You want to keep it down low like that, and then pull through all of this if you can manage it. There we go. There's a lot going on here. There we go. Okay, just like that. So we're gonna do 3 of those. It'll be a much less work once we get past that malarkey right there. So we're going to half double, next stitch. Just like that. And what that does is it kind of like puffs this down a little bit. It's supposed to anyway, but because we're working with so many strands, I think this is going to be a little bit flatter, but it'll still give it that heart shape. Probably not the easiest thing you've ever done in your life. Okay, so there we go. Now we're gonna chain up 2. I'm gonna leave these guys. Single crochet in the top of that heart right there. chain 2, and then just like we did before, you're going to skip that first one and do the middle 3 in half double crochets. See, it's much easier once you get past all of those things that you're going over. Hopefully you had a chance to look at that video of just the heart stitch by itself, so you so this will seem normal to you, what's going on right here. See how that heart puffs out a little bit, and it makes that shape stand out a little bit more. So this row kind of makes it all happen. Okay, chain 2, single crochet on top of the heart, and then chain 2, and then 3 half double crochet. So keep doing that until you get all the way around to the other end, and then I'll tell you where to go from there. Okay guys, so I'm all the way around now. You can see those hearts on there, which I'm pretty happy with. They're much bigger than was in my imagination, but I like them. So I am going to attempt to do 2 rows of hearts before I get to my 6 inches, which is going to be interesting. So what I'm gonna do, I'm starting to run low on this. This is a yarn eater for sure. I'm starting to run low on this color. So rather than run out of it like halfway through this next row of hearts, I think I'm going to start a new color right here in between the 2 rows. So it looks a little bit more planned, but also still kind of spontaneous at the same time. I'm gonna go ahead and chain up 2 to finish off this connection to this top of the heart here. And then what I'm gonna do is right here in this single crochet, I am going to bring in the old stuff, or I'm gonna drop this one. I'm gonna continue using those 3, but I'm gonna bring in this new piece right here. Like so. And then I'm gonna cut this one off. He will live to be in another scrappy basket someday. And then we're going to let this lay here, and I'm gonna go over the top of it, and we're gonna continue with our single crochet row, just a regular single crochet row. If you guys are seeing what I'm seeing, this thing is like, it's pretty tight, straight up and down. I may, at the end of the second row, I might actually add some stitches to kind of make it flare a little bit, so it'll fit that, the pot, because you know the pot kind of goes like that. So keep that in mind. This is really the best place to increase is right at the top of your hearts, because it's very easy to do your increase right there. So, but I'm not gonna do it yet because I don't wanna add a whole other heart, then it'll be cattywampus. So I'm gonna do it at the end of the second row of hearts. There we go. Okay, so now I'm not gonna chain up. I'm just gonna continue single crocheting around. We're gonna do our little spiral. So here's where you place your single crochets. You're gonna do, I already did one right there. We're gonna do one in this chain 2 hole. We're gonna do one in each of these 3 right here, the top of those half double crochets. And there. Come on, work with me. And one there. And then we're gonna do one in this little double crochet hole right here, or sorry, this chain 2 hole. One in the single crochet at the top of the heart. where the top of that stitch is, if you can find it. This is how I broke my plastic hook when I was doing the twine basket. My hook died because I was yanking on it so hard. Stab something with a crochet hook, and that's what this project is for. So maybe save this for when you're having a really tough day. Because look at how much, oh, I just broke that needle. Oh my gosh, that is so funny. Okay, so then 1 in that chain 2 space, and then 3 on these 3 half double crochets right here. Basically, you're taking it, you're making it 6, I can't speak. It's going to be multiples of 6 again. Okay, so keep doing that all the way around. I'll meet you at the other side. I think I'm just gonna do 1 row of this, and then I'm gonna go back into my white hearts again. So, and you kind of already know how to do that. So I think just do what I just did. Finish this row. When you get back to the heart that you started at, go ahead and do your half a heart again, and then do your second row of hearts, and then I'll meet you at the top of that. Okay, here we go. I finished the second row of hearts. Now we're at this point right here, and I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and increase in the center of each of these hearts. So we're gonna increase by 6 stitches all the way around, just because my plant has this sort of lip at the top, and this, I'm gonna show you hopefully without spilling all the dirt, already fits pretty snug. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and do a little increase so it flares out just a little bit there. You can continue going straight up if you want to. Look at how cute those hearts look. I'm so excited. Okay, so we're gonna start right here. I'm gonna pull these in, these colors. I'm gonna chain 1, or not really chain, but just slip stitch that in. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do 2 single crochets in the same stitch. And that's gonna be our increase. So 1, make sure all these strands are nice and tight. And 2. That's the only, I'm only gonna increase in the tops of the hearts. That way you know where you're at. You're gonna do exactly 6. So the rest of this is gonna go just like we did before. You're just gonna chain 2, and then jump down here and do your 3 half double crochets, chain 2, and then do your increase in the middle of the heart. I'll meet you at the end of the row. Okay, we have finished the end of that row. And so now we're gonna just do the thing where we spiral up to where we want the top to be, and then I'm gonna finish it with a crab stitch, but I'm gonna go back to solid red at the top. So here, just remember that now that you're spiraling, you don't have to like join it or any of that stuff, but you do wanna make sure and remember that you have 2 stitches at the top of those hearts now. So when you do your single crochets, you're gonna do, if you can get in there, you'll do 1 single crochet. Here, let's try that again. 1 single crochet there, like that, and then 1 on the second one, and then 1 in the hole that was made by that chain 2, and then 1 in each of those, the top of those 3 half double crochets, one, 2, 3, and then 1 in the hole for the chain 2, and then both of those single crochets. Just continue that all the way around, and then after that, you're just gonna single crochet up until it's as tall as you want it to be, and then we will finish with a crab stitch at the top. Okay, so gosh, we're so close to being done. So I fitted this up next to my plant, and it's going to work great, but I think that what I wanna do is I want to do a solid row of single crochets in the solid red first before I do the crab stitch. So I'm gonna go ahead and switch it out now. So I ended up doing basically the row that connected everything together plus an extra row on 2 rows on top of that of the regular single crochet. And then we're going to switch back to the solid color. So I'm going to go ahead and do slip stitches on here just so that it kind of takes away from that spiral look. And then right here we're going to get rid of these 3 other colors and bring in the solid red. So we're going to keep this one and get rid of these 3 right here. So I'm just going to cut those. Bring in these 3 strands. And we can actually just pull those over the top. Since it's just going to be single crochet, it won't be anything too hard. And then we're going to go into the next one. Pull all 4 strands of red in. Hopefully you can see all of this. Grab all 4 strands, pull them through, slip stitch that into that, and then we'll just continue with our single crochet around for 1 more row before we switch to our crab stitch. So you should be able to pull all of these over here and just single crochet over the top of them. I'm gonna go ahead and chain. No, I'm not, I'm just gonna go for it. Yep, okay. Okay, so just single crochet all the way around. This is actually, I'm surprised how fast this basket is going. I think that by the time I'm done with this, it will have been 3 hours start to finish, and that includes filming and undoing some stuff that I didn't like and everything. So really this basket does not take very long. I would say this is a one day project pretty easily. Whip out a bunch of them for Valentine's Day and get to enjoy them before Valentine's Day since it's less than a month away. These would be really great though. They don't have to be in the reds for Valentine's Day. You could make these for little like baby rooms or really any color you want. I love hearts all year long. And I think we could all use a little more love in our lives these days. And for me, Valentine's Day is on the 14th, but we leave our Valentine decorations up until the end of February, sometimes halfway through March, because, you know, who cares, right? I'm the only one who gets to see them, and like I said, I love those Valentine colors. Okay, so I will meet you at this spot where I start doing the crab stitch. Okay, we're here. So I just checked it with my plant, and I gotta tell you, I'm super excited because it is a perfect fit. And it wasn't that long ago when I couldn't get anything to fit anything. So I am always excited when it comes out the way I wanted it to come out. So I'm sure some of you understand where I'm coming from. So a crab stitch is basically just a single crochet, except you're doing it backwards. And it's gonna feel so weird at first, but then I love the results so much that it's just like, it's my favorite go-to border. So what it does, you're single crocheting, but you're going backwards. And it makes this cool like knot on top. It's really good for baskets. It's like to me the perfect end of a basket. See how that's working? You're just going under, you're still pulling up. You're not really yarning over, you're really just kind of grabbing it and then pulling it up and then yarning over and going through. And it makes this cool little like bumpy end to it. I just love it. So let's finish that. I'll meet you at the end and we'll be done. Okay, here's how I finish the crab stitch. Instead of trying to like, I don't even know how else you would connect it, I just go ahead and finish it right there. You actually could just pull it, don't even make a knot, just pull it like that. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna, when you weave in your ends, you're gonna weave them in this way and it'll make this one continuous line right there. Ta-da! Okay, so he doesn't exactly look like his concept drawing, but he's pretty close. Like, you get the gist, right? I think he turned out really cute. And he's perfect for, not just for holding the plant that I made him for, but also to hold Valentine treats too, or really anything you want. If you wanted to put a handle on him, he'd be a cute little purse too. You can just put like, do your crab stitch after you make your handle. So anyway, very cute little thing. I'm pretty excited about how he turned out. Let's see what he looks like with his plant inside of him. Oh my gosh, he's so cute. I'm so excited. And it's so tiny compared to like the Big Daddy we made a couple months ago. You can tell I have a lot of snake plants in my house. It's the only thing I can keep alive. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you next time.